Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Shri Radhe Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Shri Mayapur Dham ki jai. Go Premanandi. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. This is Canto 2, Chapter 3, Text 17. It's a famous verse. Please repeat. Āyur harati vai puṁsām. Udyann astam yann asau. Tasyarte yat-kṣaṇo nīta. uttama-śloka-vārtayā. Āyur harati vai puṁsām. Udyann astam yann asau. Tasyarte yat-kṣaṇo nīta. uttama-śloka-vārtayā. Āyur harati vai puṁsām. Udyann astam yann asau. Tasyarte yat-kṣaṇo nīta. uttama-śloka-vārtayā. Vaishnavas. Āyur harati vai puṁsām. Āyur harati vai puṁsām. Udyann astam yann asau. Tasyarte yat-kṣaṇo nīta. uttama-śloka-vārtayā. Udyann astam yann asau. Nīta. uttama-śloka-vārtayā. Vaishnavis. Āyur harati vai puṁsām. Udyann astam yann asau. Tasyarte yat-kṣaṇo nīta. uttama-śloka-vārtayā. Āyur harati vai puṁsām. Udyann astam yann asau. Tasyarte yat-kṣaṇo nīta. uttama-śloka-vārtayā. Āyur harati vai puṁsām. Udyann astam yann asau. Tasyarte yat-kṣaṇo nīta. uttama-śloka-vārtayā. Āyur harati vai puṁsām. udyan astam yann asau. Tasyarte yat-kṣaṇo nīta. uttama-śloka-vārtayā. Āyur. Duration of life. Harati. Decreases. Vai. Certainly. Puṁsām. Of the people. Udyan. Rising. Astam. Setting. Cha. Also. Yann. Moving. Asau. The sun. Tasya. Of one who glorifies the Lord. Rite. Except. Yat. By whom? kṣaṇaḥ. Time. Nīta. Utilized. Uttama-śloka. The all-good personality of Godhead. Vārtayā. In the topics of. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Both by rising and by setting, the sun decreases the duration of life of everyone, except one who utilizes the time by discussing the topics of the all-good personality of Godhead. Purport. This verse indirectly confirms the greater importance of utilizing the human form of life to realize our lost relationship with the Supreme Lord by acceleration of devotional service. Time and tide wait for no man, so the time indicated by the sunrise and the sunset will be uselessly wasted if such time is not properly utilized for realizing identification of spiritual values. Even a fraction of the duration of life wasted cannot be compensated by any amount of gold. Human life is simply awarded to a living entity, jīva, so that he can realize his spiritual identity and his permanent source of happiness. A living being, especially the human being, is seeking happiness because happiness is the natural situation of the living entity. But he is vainly seeking happiness in the material atmosphere. A living being is constitutionally a spiritual spark of the complete whole, and his happiness can be perfectly perceived in spiritual activities. The Lord is the complete spirit whole, and his name, form, quality, pastimes, entourage, and personality are all identical with him. Once a person comes into contact with any of the above-mentioned energies of the Lord through the proper channel of devotional service, the door to perfection is immediately opened. In the Bhagavad-gītā 2:40, the Lord has explained such contact in the following words: endeavors in devotional service are never baffled, nor is there failure. A slight beginning of such activities is sufficient even to deliver a person from the great ocean of material fears. As a highly potent drug injected intravenously acts at once on the whole body, the transcendental topics of the Lord, injected through the ear of the pure devotee of the Lord, can act very efficiently. Oral reception of the transcendental messages implies total realization, just as fructification of one part of a tree implies fructification of all the other parts. This realization, for a moment in the association of pure devotees like Śukadeva Gosvāmī, prepares one's complete life for eternity. And thus, the sun fails to rob the pure devotee of his duration of life, inasmuch as he is constantly busy in the devotional service of the Lord, purifying his existence. Death is a symptom of the material infection of the eternal living being. Only due to material infection is the eternal living entity subjected to the law of birth, death, old age, and disease. The materialistic way of pious activities, like charity, is recommended in the Smriti Shastras, as quoted by Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Money given in charity to a suitable person is guaranteed bank balance in the next life. Such charity is recommended to be given to a Brahmana. If the money is given in charity to a non-Brahmana without Brahminical qualification, the money is returned in the next life in the same proportion. If it is given in charity to a half-educated Brahmana, even then the money is returned double. If the money is given in charity to a learned and fully qualified Brahmana, the money is returned 100 and 1,000 times. And if the money is given to a Veda Paraga, one who has factually realized the path of the Vedas, it is returned by unlimited multiplication. The ultimate end of Vedic knowledge is realization of the personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, as stated in the Bhagavad-gītā, Vedaischa sarvar aham eva vedya. There is a guarantee of monies being returned if given in charity, regardless of the proportion. Similarly, a moment passed in the association of a pure devotee by hearing and chanting the transcendental messages of the Lord is a perfect guarantee for eternal life, for returning home back to Godhead. Maddama gatva punarjanma na vidyate. In other words, a devotee of the Lord is guaranteed eternal life. A devotee's old age or disease in the present life is but an impetus to such guaranteed eternal life. Both by rising, translation again, both by rising and by setting, the sun decreases the duration of life of everyone, except one who utilizes the time by discussing topics of the all-good personality of Godhead. Om ajnanatirmirandasya gyananjana shalakaya chakshurun militam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to try to speak something on the Srimad Bhagavatam. So I humbly beg the blessings of the Vaishnavas that I can speak in accordance with the parampara and not go off track and not speculate. What I've understood very acutely in the last few years when I was away from Mayapur is that Prabhupada gave many, many gifts to human society and to us because we're fortunate, somehow or other, we accepted the gift. To various degrees, we've accepted the gift. He gave so many gifts, and we can just enumerate the gifts he gave. That can be a long list of gifts. We can ask everyone in this room, which gift has Prabhupada given? Everyone can name a different gift that Prabhupada has given. But the greatest gift that Prabhupada gave was the association of devotees. That's the greatest gift. Outside of the association of devotees, there is no spiritual life. There's just spiritual death. Because in the association of devotees, Krishna manifests. Krishna says, I'm not in Vaikuntha. I'm not in the heart of the yogis. I'm where my devotees are chanting my glories. Krishna likes to go there, where his devotees are. Where his devotees are associating. And devotee association means that devotees get together and they remember Krishna together. They talk about how to serve Krishna, how to improve in devotional service, how to come closer to Krishna. That's devotee association. So that's the greatest blessing that Srila Prabhupada has given. In that association, we can thrive. We can move forward. The goal of life remains clear. Outside of the association of devotees, the clouds of ignorance cover our understanding. We lose sight. We're associating with someone. We're mixing with someone with some vibration, with some understanding of life, but that vibration won't help us. That vibration just aggravates the disease of the heart. That's asat sangha. Therefore, Mahaprabhu has said, this is the symptom of a Vaishnava. He avoids the association of the asat, the non-devotees. Vaishnavas have a well-wishing attitude towards every living entity, undoubtedly. They wish all souls well. They wish all souls to go back to Godhead. There's no question that a Vaishnava sees others as inferior or as discardable. The opposite. Vaishnava sees every soul, devotees and non-devotees, as precious, parts and parcels of Krishna, and offers respect. The 11th canto of the Bhagavatam, this incredible, almost inconceivable instruction is there. One should offer dandavats to every living entity. There's a meditation to remember that living entity in any form of life, whatever the external covering is, pleasant, unpleasant, in between, vicious or kind, that's a soul, part of Krishna, dear to Krishna, and next to that soul is my Lord. So how can a Vaishnava be disrespectful towards any living entity? Not to speak of those who are trying to go to Krishna. How dear those souls are to Krishna. Those that have turned their face towards Krishna. Krishna is so pleased. Krishna is so glad this soul, after so long, is turning towards me. Is trying. Krishna is so encouraged. That's Krishna's vision towards any devotee. In the less advanced stage, we tend to be very judgmental. Kanishta Adhikari. This is Gurudev. All respects. Everyone else, I don't even notice them or minimize them. But that's not how Krishna sees. The devotees are extremely dear to Krishna. There's that beautiful Leela, Sudama Brahmana. It's a wonderful illustrative Leela. And in the end of that Leela, it's stated that the Lord considers his benedictions to be insignificant. His benedictions are not insignificant. They're most significant. But he considers them to be insignificant. And he magnifies even a small offering, a small service offered to him by his well-wishing devotee. That's Krishna. That's the nature of Krishna. That's Krishna's character. The gifts he has to offer us, he considers this is not. But the service that's offered to him, oh, he magnifies that. He so much appreciates that. So we're also supposed to appreciate Vaishnavas in that way. Shortcomings are there. Of course they're there. That's expected. It's the material world. It's the hospital. If one goes to the hospital and says, oh, sick people, of course it's sick people, it's a hospital. People in different degrees of sickness. Some have been in the hospital quite a while, have been taking the medicine very attentively and are becoming healthy. Their nature is being awakened. And others are just entering the hospital totally diseased. But they've entered the hospital. They've started the process of curing the disease. So it's not a surprise if there's some bad quality. That's not surprising. Someone says, I can't believe it. I can't believe this person did this or that. Why not? It's the material world. Why would one be surprised? It's a dark place. The darkness is inside our own heart, and the darkness is outside. All-pervading darkness. So this is giving the cure. This is the cure for the disease. What is that? Hearing. Hearing through the ears. That's what's supposed to go inside these ears of ours. There's already a mess inside the heart. So much complications, so many crazy desires. I want to be God. I want to be the enjoyer. So if I want to be the enjoyer, everything that's within my vision and outside my vision, I see it. Okay, how can I enjoy this? Everything is meant for my gratification because I want to be God. So how does everything fit into my gratification? This is the fundamental vision, the fundamental perception of a conditioned soul. How to exploit by different techniques, by different means, with diplomacy, with smiles, with strong tactics, whatever it takes, somehow or other, I'll enjoy this material energy. At the expense of others, because typically it's at the expense of someone. That's hard-heartedness. This is the condition that's in the heart of the souls in this world. Hard-heartedness, lack of empathy for others. Yes, sure, it's causing some pain, some anxiety, some difficulty for someone else, but I'm enjoying. Me and my family, we're enjoying. That's what's important. Even to the point of torturing animals, killing animals. No consideration. You can explain the whole thing to someone. Yeah, but you know, you're eating animals, and the process is a horrific process, giving so much pain to the animal. They're kept in super cramped conditions, giving them a lifetime of pain, then cutting their throat. And they understand it. Yeah, it is cruel, it's cruel. And what's the answer sometimes? But I like the taste. The taste, I like it. My tongue reigns supreme over all other considerations. That's the material world. That's the material world that I'm so attached to, because I'm a moron. I must be stupid. I look at the material world, and by experience, we come to understand more and more deeply what the material world is. Kali Yuga. Oof, ugly place. Ugly, undesirable place. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said, no place for a gentleman. Which gentleman will be pleased? Which lady will be pleased? Oh, this is a nice place. Yes, let me live here. Jivo jivasya jivanam. What's the law of the material world? One living entity is devouring another living entity. Wow, that's intense. And sometimes we have some perception, yeah, I got to get away from the city, go into nature. Beautiful, I'm going to go for a walk in the forest. And it's very peaceful, the mode of goodness. Yeah, for Prabhupada said the forest is the mode of goodness. But if you watch a nature documentary, right, they go to the forest, and from it, a zoomed out thing, it looks very serene and peaceful. You hear the chirping of the birds. It's a nice place. But then they zoom in. What's happening in the forest? It's the predators and the prey. hard struggle for existence. One living entity is looking left and right. Oh no, that's the whole life. The whole life of the living entity is left and right. I got to get something to eat, but I want to make sure I don't get eaten while I'm trying to get something to eat. That's the whole life. And another living entity is moving around as the predator. Where's some food? Where's some food? That's the law of the jungle. And sometimes living entities, they adopt such a cruel attitude that they play with the prey, right? They don't just kill it and eat it. No, they play with it for some time. They terrorize it, and then they eat it. So that's the material world that I'm so attached to. And we're fortunate. We have knowledge of that there's a solution. There's an alternative. It's not just, well, this is it, end of story. Because in human history, there have been many great, let's not say great thinkers, let's say thinkers. People who were analyzing things, even musicians or philosophers. And they studied the nature of things, and they reached a conclusion. And the conclusion was a depressed conclusion, not a hopeful conclusion, not a bright, sunny conclusion. They concluded, oh, that's what the material world is, a very troublesome place. But the problem was they didn't offer a solution. They didn't know what the solution was. They just were able to very nicely, clearly, eloquently explain to some degree what the problem is. But Srila Prabhupada, he's explained in detail what the problem is and what the solution is, what the alternative is. And the alternative is something which is beyond comprehension. Beyond the comprehension of any conditioned soul. It's barely understood by great yogis. The great yogis perform their intense tapasya, the eightfold yoga process. Very, very difficult, rigid practice to purify themselves. And the fruit of their practice, very difficult. What? Do you think they get a glimpse of Goloka? Of Vaikuntha? No, they don't get any glimpse of it, any hint of it. They realize something else, which is wonderful compared to material existence. But that's not what Prabhupada gave us. Prabhupada gave us something way beyond what the yogis, with their intense discipline, intense renounced life, what they can achieve. He gave us the opportunity to go to the highest realm of the spiritual world, where there's pure love, where all the dealings are based on pure love. Inconceivable. And the process is, it's not going up into the mountains and standing on our heads for who knows how long and eating leaves and berries and nothing like that. No. Kevala Ananda Kanda. A joyful process. Prabhupada said, simply singing, dancing, feasting, and some philosophy. And then we try to share our good fortune with others. That's it. That's the process. Simple process. So what's the obstacle? The obstacle is that we have our mind. And our mind is not inclined towards that sweet river of nectar, Krishna Katha. Our mind is not so inclined to stick to that, drinking that river of nectar. I would like to share one beautiful verse by Srila Rupa Gosvāmī. This is a verse by Rupa Gosvāmī. O Krishna, the very fragrant river of your loving pastimes is 1,000,000 times sweeter than nectar. O Krishna, that the very fragrant river of your loving pastimes, which is 1,000,000 times sweeter than nectar, flows within the Srimad Bhagavatam and other Puranas. But instead of drinking at that river, the calf of my mind prefers to enter a cave and drink the poison of sense gratification. O Krishna, O Lord of the calves, please quickly curb the calf of my mind with the stick of your mercy and bring it back to the river of your pastimes. So this is the tendency of the mind, because the mind has been accustomed, habituated to this process for a long, long, long time. Where's pleasure? Pleasure is in the gratification of the senses. I want to hear something nice, materially nice. I want to see something material nice. I want to speak some nonsense. I want to taste whatever my tongue wants to taste. This is the mind's habituated, addicted to that mode of operating, that mode of seeking enjoyment. So the process has been handed to us, and the path is open, and then the mind is constantly attempting to sabotage us, sabotage our good fortune. We got the lottery ticket, and this is not a lottery ticket, $80 million. This is a different type of lottery ticket. This is the lottery, that supreme lottery ticket handed to us, Prabhupada. Just here, follow the process. Follow the path. Follow the path. Take the medicine as prescribed by the doctor. Please try to understand. Prabhupada used to say, please try to understand. Krishna consciousness is so nice. The lottery ticket was handed to us. So we're going now to go collect the lottery, the reward. And along the way, there's distractions. Shrotavyadini Rajendra Nirnam Santi Sahasrasha. This was spoken 5,000 years ago. There are many topics in society for hearing, O king. Right? That was 5,000 years ago. What was there to hear 5,000 years ago? What did you have access to? A little bit of village gossip, or maybe you got gossip from another village. There was no newspapers. There was no, widespread idea of what's going on all over the place. But still, there were so many distractions, so many topics to hear. How about nowadays? Any distractions? No one can count. Huh? Go on Google and type in a word, 10 billion view, whatever it is, right? Right? What does it say? 10 billion hits for this 2 words. Unlimited distractions. The curse blessing of technology. Mainly curse, but blessing can be there too. But primarily curse. It's full, unlimited entertainment for the criminals in the prison house. That's what it is. Everyone's in the prison house, and we have unlimited facility to entertain ourselves, to distract ourselves. Someone was telling some joke, kind of a joke, not really. He thought, let me check what time it is in New York. And so they looked it up on Google. And 7 hours later, they were watching YouTube videos about how to talk to giraffes. So this is how it goes. We go into that field, that realm, and where we come out, no one knows. It used to be with great effort that one would have to try to gratify the desires of the mind. You have to do things. I'd like to see a movie. So you have to go to the movie theater and go through the whole process, drive somewhere, purchase the ticket, go sit in the movie theater, and the movie changes once a week. Nowadays, full facility. Full facility. Full facility to add more garbage. Already we're so burdened. The soul in this world is so burdened. The soul desires to experience freedom. That's what we hanker for, freedom. What's the freedom? The freedom is the freedom from those desires. Dhanam, janam, sundarim. Desire for wealth. My Lord. Just like we were reading here in the Purport. And it says, if you give charity to this person, you get 1-time return. If you give charity to that person, 2 times. If you give 1,000 times return. When I was reading that, I was thinking, oh, my next life, I'll be very wealthy, right? I just have to pick the right person, give them the $5, and there I have 5,000 already, huh? So this is one of the great allurements. Dhanam, janam, sundarim. One wants to enjoy the company of the opposite sex. And Lord Chaitanya says, na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim. We go before Krishna and we say, na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim. I don't mean it when I say it. I kind of mean it, but it's so deep-rooted in the heart. It's so deep-rooted. Because those things make one feel like Krishna. That's how we imitate Krishna, by being the enjoyer. So it's very, very deep-rooted. Lord Chaitanya says, I don't want followers. Who doesn't want to be recognized? Who doesn't want some acknowledgement, some appreciation? To be noted. Oh, how nicely you've done that. How nicely you've sung. How nicely you've spoken. How nicely you've done this service. Again, trying to be Krishna. And these things are a tremendous burden in our hearts. A tremendous burden. Because we can't do anything freely, just without that harassment of the mind. Yes, you're great, you're great. Look, you're special. When I came to Krishna consciousness in the late 80s, I joined the temple in Miami, and sometimes you get this special introductory offer. You're a total beginner, nothing. You started 3 days ago, 1 week ago. But Krishna just says, here, take some special realization, some special experience. So come before the deities, tears are coming from the eyes, the heart is being moved. There's sometimes we get the special introductory offer, Krishna, just to encourage us. And I was thinking, maybe, after I understood, I think, maybe I'm the savior of the movement. This was my humble realization. So we're burdened heavily. I'm heavily burdened by these things. I can't do anything peacefully. I can't do my service peacefully. Because there's always that nagging, stupid desire for something other than reality. What am I? Das Anudas, the servant of the Lord's servants. That's my position. It's the opposite of material consciousness. The opposite. Material consciousness, I want to be the servant of no one. I want to be the Lord. And reality is the opposite. Sweet, sweet reality. That I'm the servant of 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 the Lord. Millions of times removed. That's happiness. That's freedom. That's ecstasy. It's such ecstasy. Who doesn't want it? God even wants it. Advaita Acharya wants it. He's dancing in ecstasy like a madman. I'm the servant of the servant. Lord Chaitanya wants to taste that sweet. God, Krishna, wants to taste the sweetness of being the servant. So this is Krishna's beautiful way that he's arranged reality. Krishna has arranged reality in such a way that the more a person is selfish, the more we try to enjoy, the more we try to be in the center, the more we become miserable, deprived, unhappy, hard struggle for existence. And the more one understands that I'm a servant of the servant, one gains everything. Complete happiness, ecstasy, bliss. You go to Goloka Vrindavan, topmost neighborhood, topmost. Everyone has their little section in Goloka Vrindavan. There's no issues with, with rent or finding the right place. That's our real life. That's our inheritance. We're children of Krishna. We're children of God. That's where we belong. The children of God don't belong in the material world, totally stressed out about how to get some food and a roof over my head. That's not, why should the children of God be, have that condition? No. So the door is wide open. The process has been given. And perfection is guaranteed. Once having begun the process of devotional service, one is forcibly dragged to success by Krishna. Now we can get dragged kicking and screaming. We can learn in different ways. And we can also sabotage the process. What's the way to sabotage the process? Vaishnava aparad. That's it. Offense in general. Offense is the opposite of what pleases Krishna. It's the opposite. If we look at the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, we see that those devotees who exhibited extreme humility, Raghunath Das Goswami, Haridas Thakur, Lord Chaitanya was so pleased with them, unlimitedly pleased. They were so humble, they were so respectful to others. And they got a type of mercy that's like, wow, what mercy they got. So that verse, Trinadapi Sunichena, this is it. One has to put it around their neck for constant remembrance. Because the tendency is there to always forget what I am. I'm a tiny soul, and I'm very, very fortunate. By some great good fortune, I don't know why, Krishna has given me the chance. There's no logic to it. The logic is the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. That's the logic. Nityananda Prabhu is intoxicated by love of God. And so he says, okay, I don't know, doesn't discriminate. Yes, you take the mercy. So there's a great opportunity, and we have to be very careful not to spoil that opportunity. We shouldn't underestimate the mercy of the Lord. Because sometimes we just think, oh, impossible. What impossible? Impossible is not in Gaur-Nitai's dictionary. That word is not there. And they showed that it's not there. They saved the most wretched, the most fallen, the most unqualified. They saved them. So this is the process, hearing and chanting. And then our life will progress, and we can achieve perfection. Hare Krishna, thank you very much. Any questions or reflections?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much for a very nice class. something I was reflecting about early on. You were mentioning that Srila Prabhupada has given us gifts, and I was just contemplating, thinking, yeah, I know he has. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure it's there. And I was just thinking, sometimes when we have these gifts, but then sometimes we can become quite casual about it, or dismissive, or sort of think that they're insignificant. And I was just wondering if you could, I think you did touch upon the offenses and minimizing the Lord's mercy, but I was hoping you could expand upon that how do we appreciate what gifts we've been given, and secondly is that how do we ensure that they are well presented, because at the end of the day it's all well and good that we receive these gifts, but I'm sure Srila Prabhupada, Mahaprabhu would be pleased with us if we're able to share those gifts so that we can attract others. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Thank you for the question. It's a nice question, because the tendency is there to take things casually. Yeah, we're living in Mayapur. Yeah, I like living in Mayapur. It's nice. It's more peaceful than living in the West, and we can take it. Familiarity breeds contempt, or familiarity just breeds a casual approach and failing to appreciate what it is. So we have to always hear, be reminded, and we have to get direct experience. We have to get direct experience. So we have the process for connecting to Krishna. Every day we have our beads. And we have the possibility during that time to make a very personal connection with Krishna. We're not chanting mantras. That's not our process. We call out to Krishna. We appeal to Krishna. My dear Lord Krishna, I've fallen into this material existence. I'm your eternal servant. Please, let me again be the servant of your servants. This is our meditation. Well, there's one meditation during japa. So we have the opportunity to connect every day, at every moment. And Krishna reciprocates. Why won't Krishna reciprocate? Of course he will. Krishna will reciprocate. When we come in front of the deities, it's an opportunity. We have so many opportunities in the course of our day, in the course of our practice. And when we experience the reciprocation of Krishna, when our heart moves, then Krishna consciousness becomes real. It becomes real. And what we read about in the books is not theory. It's not theory anymore. It's real. Of course, we're not experiencing the full, anything like the full experience of Krishna consciousness, but even the glimpse is wonderful. Even the fragrance is wonderful. And if we take things too casually, then Krishna might make arrangements in a different way. I was living in Mayapur for quite a long time, and then by force of by Krishna's will, I was exiled. I was living in Poland for 2.5 years, and I was living in a city where there was no devotees. And I used to get some sangha occasionally. I'd have to go 2-3 hours to get some association. And when I was in Mayapur before leaving, I was kind of taking it casually, easy life, nice life, little this, little that. And Krishna deprived me. I deprived myself, but Krishna made the arrangement that I had no association. And it was very painful. So when I came back to Mayapur, I came back with a different attitude. I came back with an attitude of appreciation. So Krishna will help us. That's what Krishna does. He forcibly drags us to success as long as we try to maintain the right attitude, as long as we try to be humble and respectful towards others. Krishna takes charge of us. Krishna says, you're mine. and he makes arrangements in his own way. Sometimes the way he does it is by giving us some pain, some internal pain, to adjust our attitude, to make us more attentive to our practice, to help us to cry. That's what Prabhupada said chanting is. One should chant like a baby crying for his mother. That's chanting. I'm in the material world, I'm lost. This mountain of impurities is before me. Krishna, I have no idea. I have no hope. You're my hope. So Krishna will help us. We should first help ourselves by taking advantage of the process, honoring the process that Prabhupada gave us, by doing it to the best of our ability, with sincerity and with personalism. With personalism, connecting with Krishna in a very personal way. And as far as sharing with others, it depends on time, place, and circumstance, and sensitivity, and thoughtfulness, and trial and error. Vyasadeva was also trying to share wisdom. He's Vyasadeva. And did he get it right the first time? Vyasadeva. It's like, oops, some adjustments needed. Guru said, just adjust. That's Vyasadeva. When Prabhupada came, he also was figuring out, who am I preaching to? And he made adjustments. So we also have to pray to Krishna, my dear Lord Krishna, please use me as an instrument. Don't let my false ego get in the way. Let me be your instrument for benefiting others. And then Krishna will help us to speak the right words. Hare Krishna. Prabhu, how are we doing on time? I think we have 4 minutes. Okay, yes, please.
We always want to talk Krishna Katha.
Sorry, I missed that.
Krishna Katha is like our goal. It has tendency to sometimes be out of place. And like one time, devotees, I was with a couple of devotees sitting at a table, and they were talking about houses and things. And I started saying, well, when Krishna comes back from the forest in Vrindavan, he's covered in sandalwood paste and forest flowers. He plays upon his flute, and all the residents of Vrindavan come out to greet him. So this devotee said to me, well, what has that got to do with what we're talking about? So sometimes, how do we the ideal is Krishna Katha, but like if you just come on strong with and out of the blue, when people are talking about something that they think is funny, like trading bananas for items with monkeys, or anything. So how do we always have Krishna Katha going in our conversations?
Well, there was an example where you tried to inject some Krishna Katha in a place or at a time when the devotees were, focused on something else. So maybe that wasn't the appropriate time. We shouldn't expect others to necessarily adjust to, our expectation. That might be just a time to remember Krishna. Even if the topic might be even mundane. No one can stop us from thinking what we want to think. We can remember Krishna. And that happens often. We find ourselves sometimes in company where the conversation's like going, in whatever direction. Well, we can be there and just be internally remembering Krishna and praying to Krishna. That facility is always there. And it might not be the time to try to steer the conversation towards something more elevated. Maybe it's a business conversation at that point between two devotees. So, Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.